Good evening and welcome to the Board of Education regular meeting. It is March 11th. Are we in compliance with open meeting laws?
Yes, we are.
Please call the roll.
Herzog.
Here.
Hess.
Here.
Snowy.
Here.
Wright.
Here.
Wyman.
Here.
DeWitt.
Here.
Ford.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. And tonight we have a guest from Emmeline Cook Elementary School, Anthony Rust, and he'll be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'd all stand and join us.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anthony, you did a beautiful job. We want to thank you. We always love it when our students are able to participate, and we appreciate the time and effort you put into getting here. We thank your dad for bringing you here tonight, so thank you very much. And now we get to hear from your principal, Mr. Rule, so we're very excited about that. Thank you for coming. Introducing Mike Rule, superintendent, yeah, okay. Principal of Emmeline Cook.
Good evening, everybody. So I just wanted to bring a couple of highlights and a couple of things to brag on for Emmeline Cook, as well as an invite for you. So something to brag about, I'm really proud of some of the students being involved in our after-school program. We have an after-school program called Lighted Schoolhouse. It has traditionally been very well attended. We have this year Growing Readers, which is cooperation between UWO, the United Way, and our Lighted Schoolhouse afternoon program. So what happens is we bring in trained tutors, pre-service teachers who are there supporting our students after school. And they get 45 minutes, 3 days a week with those tutors, supported specifically in targeted phonics and comprehension sort of programming and support. This year we had 11 students. Some of the data had recently come out with our newest iReady scores, and we had some really significant growth. We're pleased to say that out of the 11 students, 8 out of the 11 met their stretch goals. So the stretch goal is the goal that's set to make sure that any students behind in grade levels are going to meet that within a certain amount of time. They're going to meet their peers' reading level. 7 out of the 11 exceeded their stretch goals already at the semester. So all of our students are sitting on track to do quite well for the end of the year iReady. I really look forward to seeing how well they do. All right, last I said I was going to have an invite. We are always pleased to invite anybody into Emmeline Cook, especially the Board of Education, for our end of year showcase. Our end of year showcase isn't until May 12th, but what we do is we bring, every student has 2 opportunities to put something within the show. And we have an art show, but then in the classroom, each student puts together with their teacher and with their peers a folder or a presentation that they're proud of that demonstrates how much growth they've had throughout the year. So I'd like to invite all of you. It is from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock on May 12th, and that is a Tuesday, I believe. We would love to see you there. There are other activities if you bring your family along as well, but we're always happy to see our kids get the ability to show off how much growth they've had throughout the year, as well as some of their artwork.
That's great. What a nice invitation. Thanks for putting it on the calendar early for us. There's a lot going
Absolutely.
on at the time of year. We
It's a busy
appreciate
spring.
that.
Thanks, Mike.
All right,
Thank
thanks
you
a lot.
very much.
Thank you.
And now we are going to have the art recognition period of the meeting. We're very excited about this. You can see from the large crowd we have tonight the enthusiasm for all of our young artists. It's always a very, very special night. And when you look at some of the pictures, they'll show up there of all of the artists, you won't believe some of the work that these kids are able to produce, and we're very, very proud of them. Okay.
All right. We can just go up here.
Okay, and when you see your name or hear your name, we'd like you to come up and receive your reward. Cesar Regoza.
Well done.
Claire Halbach.
Daddy equal.
Maylin Hanley. Finley Harris. Nova Elmy. Omar Fala. Macy Plachinsky. Lauren Reichenberger. Amari Keinhofer. Ellie Wolf. Audrey Rising. Caitlin Schmidt. Oh, good. Caitlin Schmitz. Elliot Wiegand. Lydia Veith. Lexi Trepidowski. Talia Schwartz. Ava Schultz. Kennedy Maslowski. Brooklyn Rowe. Esther San Nuam. Bentley Bork. Riley Tadish. Aubrey Chamberlain. Lennon Yang. Cayman Ghost. Lily Wolt. Kavea Lasha. Allison Magana. Gabe Hazy. Joey Casper. and Anna Lipinski. Madison Gao. Kaylee Gray. Elliot Goodacre. Grace Johnson. Leah Moan. Baxter Taylor. Rihanna Wasendorf. Rosie Craig. Zoe Clark. Haley Rothenbach. Mohammed Ahmed. Alaya King. Emily Gonzalez. Zilly Zeigenhagen. Aiden Duvila. Ellen Vokening. Kevin Hoffman. Kenzie Dusterbach. And Arumani Hearns.
That says no to the auto pen. Signed them all by hand.
We'd like to thank all of the artists, all of the families, everyone that attended this evening to be able to celebrate our young artists. You can see from the pictures that were shown, there's a credible amount of talent. We encourage you to continue your artistic endeavors. So thank you very, very much. And we'll break at this point. You're certainly welcome to stay for the meeting, but if you would like to depart, this might be a good time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's very cool.
I just realize how much of an artist I am not.
So good.
I just seem to have it.
He's not here. I have been holding these.
Okay. She has no list
Oh, and this disappeared. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you for your patience, and here we go with the meeting. Dr. Davis, the land acknowledgement.
Yes, as we gather today, we'd like to acknowledge that in Oshkosh, we are on the ancestral homelands of the Ho-Chunk Nation and the Menominee Indian Tribe of Wisconsin, who lived along the western shores of Lake Winnebago Wisconsin's largest freshwater lake entirely within its borders. We acknowledge these indigenous sovereign communities who have stewarded this land throughout the generations and pay respects to their elders, past and present. We welcome the duty and opportunity to share stewardship of these lands.
Thank you. And the next is approval of agenda. Is there any items that a board member would like to see changed? Okay, we'll move forward. And on to the board president's report. I'm happy that this evening we have 2 mission moments, and it's always very exciting to be able to celebrate the people that we are highlighting. And the first one is Ryan Lindley. And Ryan Lindley was honored with the state level Outstanding Young Choral Director Award. And we're very, very pleased that you're here this night to say a few words and to promote your students and the program. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Thank you. First, little personal business. My kids are watching at home, and so, hi, Isaiah and Eleanor. When I told them Dad was going to be on TV tonight, they think I'm a rock star, so we'll let them keep believing that. I'll Venmo you later for that. Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for allowing us to speak on behalf of the music department at our wonderful Oshkosh Area School District. My name is Ryan Lindley, and I teach choir at Perry Tippler Middle School. Tonight, I'm joined by Ella Kim, 8th grader at Perry Tippler Alps. Last year, we focused on the wonderful music educators in our district. For 2026, we are giving our students a voice and a platform to express what music education has done for them and how they choose to engage in music education. So I'll pass over to Ella Kim.
Hi, my name is Ella Kim, and I currently attend the Alps program at Perry Tippler, as well as partake in our choir. Music has always been something that I've had interest and passion for. However, I previously struggled with self-confidence regarding vocal presentations. That was until recently, where I found that I'm actually leaning farther into how music has shaped me as a person because of the music education program I'm a part of. It has pushed me to step out of my comfort zone and learn how to enjoy music. I, along with many other students, have found self-growth and improvement in ways that you can only achieve within this. While in earlier years you would find me building up the courage to even attempt to audition for something like our school musical, these days, I actively lead and participate in programs and concerts such as Soaring Voices, Badger State Honors Choir, and our school musical, in which I both was casted as our lead and will student direct. Growing self-confidence like this can help in many other aspects in life and additionally even help students exceed academically. Having such an environment that helps students grow and unify through music is such an amazing experience and opportunity for all of us. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes. So we thank you for your time and recognition of Music in Our Schools Month. As the National Association for Music Education celebrates its 41st anniversary of this event, it's impossible to highlight every program in just 3 minutes, but we ask you to advocate for our music programs through educating yourself on what we do on a daily basis, attend concerts, talk to the educators and the students about their experiences, and finally attend the Oshkosh Foundation's gala supporting our arts program on May 1st at the Waters. Thank you for your time.
You have a little trip coming up too, don't you?
Yeah, we were invited to perform at Carnegie Hall in New York City. So we're bringing 35 students, ranges from 5th grade to 9th grade right now, and about equal amount of parents as well. I had a connection with the director, and all of a sudden I got an email. He was like, "Hey, I'm directing at Carnegie Hall." I was like, "Congrats!" And he's like, "No, like, we want you to come with." And so we auditioned after the invite got in, and now we go June 13th through 16th.
That's wonderful.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you for that. And our second mission moment this evening is Rosa Ortiz Young. And Rosa Ortiz Young is a senior at Oshkosh West High School who is maximizing her high school experience. She will share her perspective on college and career readiness, including her oh boy.
I was really hoping for this when I heard you were on the agenda.
Including her experience in the culinary career pathway, along with her youth apprenticeship work experience, and the journey just highlights and illustrates the power of high-impact work experience in building confidence and competence required in the modern workforce. So thank you. We're glad you're here this evening.
So we're gonna play Rose's video first, and then she can explain what she created for you. Don't worry, I had no part of anything about the dessert, so you're safe. Okay?
Thank you.
And then we'll open it up for questions, and she can kind of share her experience. But we're super proud of Rosa and Mrs. Backey as well, because they have worked hand in hand, and this is just one example of kids' experiences throughout our district. So here we go.
My name is Rosa. I attend Oshkosh West High School. I'm interested in culinary, especially because I grew up in the kitchen with my mom, and I feel like that definitely impacted my curiosity with cooking and baking, especially testing out new recipes has always been so much fun. I have taken Exploring Egg and Food Science, Culinary 1, 2, and 3. I'm currently in Senior Foods and Worldwide Cuisine. I've definitely gotten so many opportunities from taking all these classes. I currently work at Sweet Jewels Bakes. It's a bakery downtown. We get all local ingredients and make everything from scratch. I've definitely learned a lot with time management. I'm sometimes only the only baker on, so I really have to plan out okay, well, this is in the oven, what else can I be doing? And I feel like it doesn't just apply to what's in the oven and what else I can do. I feel like I've definitely taken that into the real world. At Truffle Pig, I'll be working in the kitchen with the executive chef and just kind of playing around with the dessert menu and kind of focusing on that, and I'll hope to branch out into more of the culinary side rather than just the pastry side as well. I've learned a lot with working, getting paid, and going to school at the same time. It's very interesting that I get to leave at 2 every day just to go and work, just so that I can get extra experience because my school wants me to be confident in my future career. I plan to attend Fox Valley Technical College for their culinary program. I would say the cake competitions have definitely helped me explore my interest in culinary arts. I've gotten a closer look into the kitchens. I actually spent a day there last year where I was able to work with the students there, and it was very cool to see what my future was going to be looking like, which makes me feel more comfortable going into it. That was definitely a smooth transition. I was able to really see what I was going into, even if I didn't fully have my whole future and career figured out at that point. I learned about their programs through Miss Backey. I think she definitely gave me a lot of opportunities that I've taken, and I don't know what I would where I would be without all of that. I definitely think not even just culinary classes, but all the CTE programs we have here, teachers are so supportive of you. Those teachers want to see you succeed. So I think taking these classes in high school definitely helps you decide if this is what you want to do in your future. You get some experience with it, and I think that's important for either business, agriculture, culinary, anything.
Who has a question for Rosa?
Like what you're eating.
So the chocolate cupcake is a s'mores cupcake, so it has espresso in the batter too, and then there's a graham cracker crust, and then it's a vanilla bean meringue toasted on the top. And then the cupcake with the raspberry on top is a pistachio olive oil cake, and then there's a raspberry mascarpone with a fresh raspberry right on.
Wow.
It was
And
really
this
good.
one
too.
was featured as a cake at Truffle Pig during their
Yes.
Valentine's
Wow.
weekend.
Very nice.
And they sold out.
I bet.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
Good work.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you see yourself in the future being in one of the baking TV shows? Because especially around the holidays, I just love those.
Oh, I love those too. They're so fun to watch. I think that under pressure, I get very overstimulated, so I don't think I could do that. I definitely give them a lot of credit, but I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe.
It's an open door. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. How fun.
Do you like experimenting and coming up with new ways of doing things rather than just following a conventional recipe?
Yeah, I feel definitely with cakes is what I normally do. You can change out the frosting for a different frosting I've done, or you can add lemon zest or raspberry compote to something and just kind of do that. I've done that a lot with this olive oil cake. Just kind of taking things out and putting things in has definitely worked a lot. It's definitely very fun. Yeah.
Thank you.
How did you choose this path, and how has the Oshkosh School District
helped? I know you explained some of it in the video, but I'm curious
I-
as to
I
how
actually
you
kind of,
got
like,
to this point.
Wrote something? Do you want?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Okay, so when the topic of plans after high school was brought up, I always knew how much of a privilege I had to be able to say I was fulfilled in my career choice. Throughout the years, I've observed the amount of stress and pressure spread across many high school students, especially with graduation coming up so soon. However, I do firmly believe without the experience and knowledge I've gained in culinary classes, my passion wouldn't have taken me as far as it has. Teachers push you in order to see you strive, which is why I can never fully express my deep appreciation I hold for Miss Badke. She's not only been a great teacher, but a guide, motivator, and the best source of encouragement. I knew regardless of my career choice, I'd be in good hands with how much guidance our school has to offer. Highlighting the youth apprenticeship program is significant due to not only how much growth I myself have felt, but my friend who is also in the program. She's in radiology, so anywhere from radiology to culinary arts, the most important thing to your coordinators is your confidence, not only in yourself, but your future. And I just want to express all my gratitude to not only the CTE teachers, but all teachers who believe in their students and further advance them into the very best versions of themselves.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's great. Thank you so much. And I have a junior at West as well, and I know lots of kids like you that are getting these same types of opportunities and experiences, and I'm so glad that you're able to bring light to, you know, how positive of experience you had. So I think that often some of that stuff gets, you know, doesn't get the credit that it should.
Yeah.
And the school district, in my opinion, does a good job helping kids like you prepare themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate everything, especially like all the competitions and everything definitely pushed me towards Fox Valley Tech too, and I wouldn't have known about that without her. So
That's great.
Thank you so much for being a positive voice.
Thank you.
I will tell you that I will come and buy a pie or
If you didn't get to try one or the other, please.
Very good.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody else should try. It's so good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time, and I just want to say, I'm just the facilitator. Rosa came to me with natural talent, but being supported and having our classes supported is really makes my job easier, so I want to say thank you for that.
That's great.
Thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And you can leave those just right there.
Oh, pass them around to everyone.
Pass them around, that's good.
Okay, boy, those were fantastic mission moments. Superintendent's report.
Yes, so we'd like to kick the superintendent's report off tonight with a citation. And so we have a special presentation tonight. I'll ask our guests to come up with Dr. Coleman for National Reading Month. So if we could, Dr. Coleman's got a.
Yeah, see you later.
So, Dr. Coleman, if you could lead us in the introductions, and then we'll read the citation.
Well, we are certainly thankful for our senator for appreciating and recognizing National Reading Month. We're using National Reading Month as an opportunity to amplify the power of reading, not just here in the Oshkosh Area School District, but across our community. And as a part of our community acknowledgement of National Reading Month, we've also been prioritizing reading across the city of Oshkosh through our Read More campaign. And so this legislative citation acknowledges both the month that celebrates and inspires people to put a laser focus on reading, but also the work that we endeavor to do through our Read More campaign to take a community-wide or city-wide approach to promoting reading and connecting people with reading resources here in the city. With that, I'll turn it over to our senator.
I appreciate that, and thank you for the invitation, and I'll get to the citation. But first, let me tell you, thanks for inviting me on the day there's cupcakes. But also, just a chance to be here with a room full of people with the appreciation with their teachers and you all. The art teachers, the students, the parents, the baker. That's just fantastic. We get to, watching a teacher be touched so much by their students and how they've impacted them is just impact to all of us. It just reminds us how important the work that you all do and what goes on in this district, and I'm very, very, very proud to be here. And today, recognizing reading, but in all aspects, and thank you for welcoming me. so I will read it to you. Use my skills. Whereas March is designated as National Reading Month, a time to celebrate the importance of reading and literacy in building strong minds, vibrant communities, and lifelong learners. And whereas literacy is fundamental to educational achievement, workforce readiness, civic participation, and personal growth, enriching individuals of all ages and backgrounds. And whereas the Read More campaign is a community-wide literacy initiative in Oshkosh created to inspire culture of reading by encouraging families, students, and community members to engage with books, libraries, and one another through the unifying message, reading makes better communities. And whereas the campaign was inspired by a collaborative partnership between members of the Oshkosh Chamber of Commerce Leadership Oshkosh Class of 2024 and Class of 2025, and developed as a community action initiative following the Leadership Oshkosh Education Day in 2025, demonstrating the power of civic leadership and cross-sector collaboration in addressing local educational priorities. And whereas the success and impact of the Read More campaign is made possible through the leadership commitment and partnership of key community organizations, including ePower Marketing, the JEK Foundation, the Oshkosh Area Community Foundation, the Oshkosh Chamber of Commerce, the Oshkosh Area School District, and the Oshkosh Public Library, whose collective efforts support literacy access, public engagement, and educational opportunities throughout the community. And whereas these partners, along with dedicated volunteers, educators, families, and local organizations, have collaboratively to raise awareness, distribute books, and promote reading as a shared community value. Now there be it resolved. Senator Kristen Dazzler-Elfheim and Lori Palmieri recognize March as National Reading Month, commend the Read More campaign for its leadership in advancing literacy in the Oshkosh community, and express sincere appreciation to its lead partners and collaborators for their continued commitment to education, community engagement, and the lifelong benefits of reading. Everybody. Take a side, take a side.
Wherever Hannah wants us.
Yeah, it's Hannah. There's a lady at the camera.
Oh, that was really good.
Can I make one request? Can I have the whole board come up here to be included in a picture, because this is really a commitment to this board and something that we talk about a lot is literacy, so I think we should all.
Put the cupcakes down.
Hannah, how does this work?
Maybe move
Two rows.
around.
I'm going in back.
2 rows, yeah.
Tim is in back. Me on the front.
Come on.
Basketball.
No, I think this is a.
Well,
this
she's
is a community.
Kelly, you gotta get up there.
Dr. Mike, you're called.
Yeah.
Should I do what my mother taught me? No, I'm just kidding. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, everybody.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
I know, right? We'll see if Jake's got
Christmas cards.
Yeah.
Stay out of trouble.
Take two.
Take 2.
Oh, take it too. Talk to you in a bit.
Well, that was fantastic. Superintendent's good news report.
All right, more good news from across the district. So we'll start at Franklin Elementary School. The Franklin Elementary 1st and 4th graders recently joined forces to bring the history to life during a spirited Boston Tea Party CKLA celebration. Students showcased their literacy and social studies knowledge through the cause and effect essays and creative posters. The festivities culminated in the cafeteria, where students signed their own Declaration of Independence and performed a unique historical parody on Taylor Swift's Shake It Off titled Dump It Off in reference to the infamous Tea Party. This collaborative event turned complex historical milestones into an unforgettable hands-on learning experience. So great work to everybody over at Franklin. Many of our staff members recently participated in the second EdTech Tool Slam takeoff at the EAA Museum Educational Center. Presenters delivered a fast-paced 5-minute slam showcasing innovative digital tools designed to boost classroom engagement and teacher productivity. It was a powerful demonstration of our educators' commitment to revolutionizing teaching methods through technology. Last weekend, our district celebrated a three-peat victory, defeating Appleton, which we always like to do, 51-31 in our third annual Teachers in Sneakers charity basketball game at the Oshkosh Arena. Beyond the scoreboard, the event highlighted the exceptional sportsmanship and shared commitment to regional education, with all ticket proceeds benefiting the educational grants through both districts' education foundations. So thanks for everybody for coming out to that. Shapiro kindergartners recently teamed up with their third grade buddies for a unique merging social emotional learning and STEM. After reading My Mouth is a Volcano, students engaged in meaningful discussions about self-regulation and strategies to prevent their feelings volcanoes from erupting. The collaboration came to life with a hands-on science experiment where the buddies worked together to create controlled eruptions while practicing patience and teamwork. We are proud to congratulate Rowan Steflug for earning the prestigious Certificate of Distinction at the American Legion National High School Oracle Contest. This program has challenged students to master the U.S. Constitution with developing elite leadership, critical thinking, and public speaking skills. Rowan's achievement highlights the deep commitment to civic engagement and advocacy, standing out in a competition known for producing some of the nation's most influential leaders. So congratulations to Rowan on that. On February 27th, Oshkosh North welcomed the community for the school's Black History Gallery Walk of Heroes, a vibrant event featuring historical exhibits, spoken word performances, and literacy outreach. A highlight of the evening was a presentation to the first ever BSU Excellence in Education Impact Award to teaching assistant Mrs. A, honoring her 20 years of dedicated service and mentorship within our district. In a moving acceptance speech, Mrs. A inspired students to define their own limits and understand that true strength lies in building community and lifting others as they rise. So congratulations. Jefferson Elementary recently transitioned from a vibrant Black History Month celebration to honoring Women's History Month through student-led leadership. First through fifth graders have taken to the airwaves in daily morning announcements where they researched and highlight influential inventors, trailblazers, and changemakers. This initiative empowers our young learners to build public speaking confidence while fostering a deep sense of ownership as they share the meaningful stories with their peers. Last week, we had students throughout the district participated in the Read Across America Week by taking time to read at school and at home. At Oakwood Elementary, the Eagles read a new book every day, and to continue to foster a love of learning at home, students also received a free book thanks to the Oakwood PTO. And I also want to thank board members who took the time and community members who took the time last week at a variety of schools to be able to come in and be guest readers. So very influential and great to see everybody come out. The energy at Oshkosh West was unmatched last Friday during the day as Connected basketball team took on Neenah's Special Olympics team in a game that transcended the final score. Although Neenah secured the final win with the last-second buzzer beater, which bounced 3 times on the rim and then went in, the true highlight happened when West students stormed the court for the Neenah student who made the shot to celebrate athletes from both teams, even chanting MVP for the Neenah student who hit the winning shot. This extraordinary display of sportsmanship and inclusion went viral, capturing nearly 300,000 views across our social media and earning featured segments on all of our local TV stations. It was a powerful community-wide masterclass in unity and school spirit. So congratulations to everyone involved in that. And finally, just thank you again for people being accommodating throughout the week. It's been a great couple weeks to be out and about in our schools, and as you can see from tonight's demonstration, just wonderful things going on across the system. And that concludes the superintendent's report for tonight.
Thank you very much. We'll move into District Administrator's supplemental report. The first one, Mrs. Kiffmeyer, student involvement in fall/winter activities.
Good evening. Just, you've received the report, so just a couple quick highlights, and then I'll open it up for questions. At the mid-year point, we would be receiving a 4-star rating if we were on continuing with the strategic plan. We're continuing to increase student involvement across both high schools. We're at about 60% at mid-year, which is where we were last year at the end of the year, right around that mark last year, so that's good news. We do need to focus on still getting our students who aren't involved in anything involved, and so we pulled that data of anyone who's not in a club or activity or sport, and we are now going to do some focus groups at the high schools to start talking to them to see what they need or if there's barriers that we can maybe remove for them to get them involved. And we know that in reality we probably aren't going to capture everybody, but if we can capture more, that's what we want to do. I also feel like as we're working on the KPI work and work as we move into the future, that this really has to start to shift to the high school levels because they are the ones that see our students every single day, and the ownership of the involvement needs to really be pushed back to the high schools and not necessarily my sort of KPI to sort of own for that. I really want to see it owned at our high school level. And then just two other real highlights is that in the 3 years that we've been reporting this KPI, North has increased student involvement by 18% and West by 21%. And as you just saw in the highlight, the connected basketball is just an example of when kids feel a part of something, school is just so much better for them altogether. So those are just a couple of highlights on the report. Any questions that you have for me?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to say I was very impressed with the use of the data and what you're doing with that in terms of informing, in this case, not instruction. We often say we use data to inform instruction, but to inform ways to get more students involved. And I also was impressed with the level of involvement, the percentage increases in involvement, because we know that when kids are more engaged, more involved in school, good things happen.
Mm-hmm.
That often translates into better classroom performance, more growth, and more achievement. So I was really impressed with the results of the efforts of the last several years and your involvement in moving this initiative along. So thank you.
Thanks.
Can I just oh shoot, I just closed it there. How do we know these kids are actually engaged? I get that they might sign up for a Excel and Infinite Campus, but I'm still, as my experience as a parent of a high school student, really feeling the actual engagement is lacking, and it doesn't seem the reality doesn't seem reflective of these numbers, to be honest. What is it that we track? Like, how are we saying that a child is actually participating in something? Is it just that they mark that they're interested in an Infinite Campus? Or what is the variation of things here?
Sure. So if so we're tracking clubs, extracurricular sports, all of those pieces, and the way we've been tracking it is they have to attend so many sessions of a club to be put into an 8th hour in Infinite Campus, and then we pull them as being a participant in that activity or club. And then obviously if they're involved in a sport, once they're in that sport, they're then logged into the 8th hour. And so we're pulling our data from our kids who are logged as an 8th hour class as being a participant. And I agree with you that participation and engagement is different. And so as we start to think about what this looks like, is there a different measure? Is there something different that we want to start to look at and evaluate? That's a true statement, because a kid could show up at a club every day but still not be engaged, but they're counting as part of being involved in our student participation.
Yeah, and I also agree with you that this needs to be something that's owned very deeply. And I really want to see on the ground how the kids are actually involved in leading this initiative and encouraged to lead it. And also, as I think you either put in the written report or what you just said as well, of you're right, it needs to get, our activities directors need to be intentional with this engagement as well. Because again, I'm not seeing the reality. I don't see how these numbers matter unless we're actually seeing how this impacts the student's experience.
I guess I like how they have the opportunity to kind of start their own club sometimes too. I guess my daughter just did that with a friend, and that's been very helpful. And I know that this type of stuff helps college applications too, right? One thing that I'm curious, because like we're trying to like shape the whole person, right? So how we tie, and this stuff's fantastic, keeps kids out of trouble, keeps them busy, puts them around good people. How we kind of tie that into academic achievement in the future. You know what I mean? Or how we measure that, right? Because I only get that idea because I was reading an article today, and they posted the team academic awards from the winner. And I looked at that and I thought, wow, the Kimberly girls basketball team got a 3.91 or whatever. You know what I mean? Like having those types of achievements encouraged through this type of stuff, I think is fantastic. And I think that kids do things together a lot, especially girls, right? You know what I mean? When that's like an emphasis too, like let's be a good team, let's do well athletically, but let's also maybe try to win a GPA award as a team too. You know what I mean? So my only thought, and this is just randomly off, me just speaking off the cuff, right, is like trying to tie this club stuff and athletics into that piece too, I think is beneficial, because then you not only have a kid who's got extracurriculars on that resume to apply for colleges, and I know this is, my kid's going to be doing that in the next 4 or 5 months, but you've got then you've got the GPA too. You need all those pieces to try to develop the whole person. So I talked a long time, sorry, but that was my thought on this.
I'm going first, I'm stealing that. So you mentioned the focus groups, Jackie. What, to try to get these students involved, what else is being done to try to, I don't want to say recruit, but
Well, there is targeted. I mean, there's been, I don't want to say that the high schools aren't owning this, because as we've gotten better with understanding the KPI and how we want to report that and what that looks like at the high schools, we've been very intentional at our secondary level to say, like, what can you guys be doing? And so, for example, I think it's important to note, like, West is really targeted on social media to market to families, and North has been really targeted with Bell being a one middle school feeder, has been helpful. Like our wrestling coaches and our wrestling players purposely attend some of the wrestling practices at the middle school level. Our Wave Robotics did some targeted reach out to our 8th grade teachers to kind of pull some kids who thrive in the science and the math area, to pull them into that. Our boys and girls basketball coaches specifically meet with the VEL coaches to get that interest, get the summer camp information, those kind of things. So each school has a little bit different approach to it, but I think that we need to do a better job of making sure that we are getting as much communication out there, because as parents, we want our kids to be involved too, and if our parents don't know what's out there, we can't get them involved.
something that just kind of came to the top of my head here. Is there anything set up, and I'm sorry that I don't know this, but where like a high school team or a couple of the athletes from basketball or softball or whatever it may be go into, say, Val or the other middle schools to, provide information, hey, this is what being involved in this club or this sport has provided me, and has really helped me with X, Y, and Z, and kind of get, not that you have a coach or an adult necessarily getting these kids excited, but other
peers.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's targeted at the 8th grade open house that kids come to at both high schools. They do it a little bit different. It was also targeted in the beginning of the year for incoming freshmen for our students as well, where students are leading those booths and those conversations with kids. I know in the past we used to have like our link crew or student councils go to the middle schools and talk with the kids as they're coming in as freshmen. I would have to confirm if that still happens, but I can look into that.
I know for a fact Coach Weiss has had the boys basketball team. They've went to Tippler and, you know, in the middle school theaters on the west side. I know that for certain.
They've come to Bell too.
Yeah.
The north side.
I mean, I'm just thinking if that's something that is more, you know, not just a
Engaging.
open house, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can offer that, and a family or a student may be busy and not be able to attend. Something that is a little bit more frequent to kind of, you know, get these students excited. It's something to kind of look forward to.
Well,
That's
and
just my
outside
two
of
cents.
athletics as well, it sure
Yeah.
seems like the
Well,
most.
sure.
I get really concerned because even our athletic directors are technically our activities directors, and so much emphasis is put on athletics. And if you're thinking about basketball, it's a cut sport. We have a lot of cut sports,
Sure.
and we need kids to be engaged in things other than athletics. And I don't see that same emphasis, partially because they don't have the same support in the school as the athletic school, and there's not as much incentive. So I really hope we can continue to do more work outside of athletics as well to get.
That was the only thing that came to my mind. I'm
Right.
sorry.
No, it's not you, Kelly. I think there's.
I get that there's a lot more, you know, groups.
No,
and
yeah.
activities.
I think it's a system issue that we have that we
And I think
emphasize
ev-
athletics a lot.
And I think even going and having somebody from the Legos or you know, Wave Robotics or whatever, you know, going into these classrooms and or these schools and getting them excited.
Speaking of something other than sports, to your point, I think is really important. Like the jazz band has like middle school night where they come when they're playing at a basketball game to get them excited. Our music has lots of different interactions with those pieces. We have a really strong music program across our district, and they do a lot of different outreach pieces to get kids involved too.
Yes, they do.
Maybe we need to reach out to Mr. Lindley and follow his suit, huh?
He does a great job. Our entire music department does. Dr. Hess.
So this one's personal to me because I had two kids that went through the district, and one of them did everything that you possibly offered, and the other one would have showed up on the bars that aren't represented here, the kids that couldn't. And I couldn't find anything to get that one interested in something, and I really wish we could have found something. So I appreciate that you're expanding it. I would echo Dr. Herzog's comments that I'm thrilled with seeing what I see as increases, although I can understand that there might be a distinction between attending and full engagement. I think the only one thing that caught my attention was the disparities seemed to still be there. And specifically what caught my attention was at West last year, it looked like the non-whites were outdoing the whites, but then it went back. I don't need you to try to explain that, but I just hope, I see utter reason to celebrate here. I hope we can concentrate on reducing the disparities going forward, but thank you for everything that you're doing here.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And Mrs. Kiffmeyer,
I think of the next one.
you can sit right there. College credit or work experience. Oh, and you've got some help with you, so
do.
that's good.
The better side, the better half, right? Well, I'd just like to take a minute to introduce Melly Robuski, our CTE and ACP coordinator. You already got to see the personal highlight with Rosa. She's just one of many who have had really positive experiences in our district. And Mrs. Badke is just one of our incredible teaching staff that really, connect, find that passion for kids and move them. And we see that all throughout the high school. When I thought about this mission moment, I thought we could be doing this every single week to highlight some of these stories that are happening every day. I also want to thank Hannah for the video that she made. She did a fantastic job and highlighted Rosa well and what we're doing really well. So thanks, Hannah, for that. Just a few highlights from the report, because there's a lot of information in this report. There was the slideshow as well. So just a few quick highlights and then open it up to questions. There's a lot, I know. Our key performance indicator is the college credit and work experience. remember that this is a lagging indicator because it's for our graduating class, so this is for the class of 2025. We did have 69% engage in a dual credit course, advanced placement course, a youth apprenticeship course, a work-based learning experience, or an industry recognized credential, and that was up from 11% from the year before. We know that we have to do a better job of making sure that we have clear pathways and opportunities for our kids to get involved, and I think we are really starting to do that and pull that away and take the guesswork out of it, and that's what we need to do for our kids and our families in our district. Another highlight is just our dual credit, our industry recognized credentials, and our youth apprenticeship has been the highest it's been in 4 years. An area that we're really significantly targeting is our work-based learning. If you looked at the chart, you saw that that was significantly lower and there was a large drop. That's because in 2022, the criteria changed for work-based learning. And we are now doing the work to make sure that we are done a lot in our district, but because we didn't meet every one of those 6 criterias, we couldn't report that as a work-based learning experience. And we now are capturing that. So as we go forward, we're going to start to see that number rise significantly. Example is like a student-based enterprise, like our cafe work and our snack shack and our brewing futures. Those are all school-based enterprises that we could be capturing as work-based learning, but because we didn't have all the criteria, and it could be as simple of not having a work agreement signed, we couldn't capture that. So we're really digging into that criteria and seeing what we have and capturing that as we go forward. I also want to highlight Melanie and Alex Torres, who is our work-based learning coordinator. They launched a new series, a new webinar called Shaping Tomorrow's Workforce to specifically target our business communities. The speaker next month is Dr. Coleman, or this month actually, right, is Dr. Coleman. And we've really drummed up a lot of interest from our businesses just by that webinar series. Another highlight that I do want to talk about is that our health sciences is a fairly new pathway for us. And in the last 3 years, we've gone from 1 to 13 YAs in that. And we're going to see that number go significantly more as we continue to do the work in there. And then the only other piece that I would highlight is that we now are intentionally focusing on academic and career planning. And in February, we launched our first post-secondary readiness data analysis team to draft a portrait of a graduate. And we need to define that. We need to have some metrics to what that looks like, and we need to work through that. And then once we have some drafts, we want to bring the larger community in to start looking at that as well so that we can really have that draft of a portrait of a graduate. The only other thing I'd like to make sure that I say before I open it up for questions is a huge thank you to our YA business partnerships. We can't give opportunities to our kids if businesses aren't willing to take sometimes a risk. And then there's another, and 99% of the time it is a huge advantage for the employer as well as for our students. But it is scary if you've never done that, and I'm really grateful we had, was it 23 new business partnerships for YA this year? So that was huge. Anything you'd like to add, Melanie?
I think we covered it. We are doing really great work, and as we saw with Rosa, it's just the momentum's going. The community is engaged and getting a lot of businesses to even know about these youth apprenticeship opportunities has been a real benefit and will continue to grow our YA program.
Questions?
Nice. What do you attribute the growth in dual credit's pretty incredible. That's obviously been focused.
Yeah.
Area focus.
I can tell you that I pulled the data. We have just, that class was really engaged in our dual credit opportunities of Fox Valley Techs and CAP. Okay. I do think a big increase was, if you remember, the class of 2024 was also that start of our COVID freshman year class. And so a lot of them started behind that freshman year and so didn't have as many opportunities for that. We've also put a huge emphasis on making sure that we are opening up those opportunities for all of our kids and not leaving it for guesswork. So there's a targeted effort to make sure that we are engaging in the dual credit courses.
Impressive.
That's great.
I just have a quick comment. I was able to attend the Link to Learn that was held at Oshkosh North in early February, where they highlighted CTE, all the programs, and youth apprenticeship. Melanie and Alex led it, and Sam spoke. But what was really cool is, I mean, I wish there was even more community members there, but every single CTE staff member in the district was there, and they got to highlight their programs to the community members who were curious about them. And I kind of wish there was a chance that everybody could go through to each of them. I got to be in the, oh gosh, I'm going to say it wrong, because my mom was a home ec teacher, a teen living skills teacher. I was in, what's the right word for it now?
Family and Consumer
Family and Consumer
Sciences.
Science, thank you. But like my mom, I don't think has ever been more proud of me being on the school board and listening and talking with those staff members who clearly have such a passion for this kind of work. And it's all of these people that are in these particular jobs have the opportunity to be, they don't have to be teaching. They could be doing this workout, and they're choosing to teach the next generation of kids doing it. And it's really inspiring to see how much they like what they get to do with their students. So it's really neat. Take tours of all those areas if you can.
Yeah. How many employers did you have there that day? Because the room was packed.
We had over 45 employers, and multiple of those businesses brought, additional employers in. And just from that event, we've had a huge impact of 7 new businesses committing to do youth apprenticeships for us next year. So again, the community has been incredibly supportive of opportunities for our students.
That's great.
As you mentioned, new YAs, hopefully pending board approval, we'll have YAs within our Oshkosh Area School District as well in the tech field and in the teaching assistant field as well. And so we, as a district, also need to commit to that as well. So hopefully pending your approval, that'll be an option going forward.
That's great. Dr. Herzog.
I've noted for a long time that historically about 50% of graduating seniors go on to a 4-year college, or at least they start there. But of that number, only about 25% actually graduate. So that means that 75% of our students are not graduating from college. And I'm not saying that all kids should go to college, because there are lots of jobs and lots of ways to be college, career, and community ready that don't require a 4-year degree. But I do wonder then about the 75% who aren't what are they doing? Are they getting some sort of training, some sort of education beyond high school? Because there are so many jobs in the community that have been taken over or will be taken over by IA, or are taken over by, being combined with other jobs. And so if you don't have special skills and knowledge after high school, what can you aspire to as far as supporting a family, renting an apartment, buying a car, and those kinds of things? So I've been really interested in what we've been doing in CTE, and I personally took tours prior to Link to Learn of our CTE facilities at both schools, because I wanted to see, even though I've been in those facilities before, what those look like today. And I see disparities in terms of the equipment, the space available between the two schools, which at some point we will need to address in order to offer similar or same opportunities to all students. And I also attended the Link to Learn and found that to be very energizing. I was impressed by the participation of the business community members who were there. I've been to CISA 6 legislative breakfasts, where the topic was, how many students do you have involved in YA? And listening to smaller districts just in our CISA, many of them have far more students involved in YA. And that's not the only be-all and end-all, but it is one measure of success with our CTE programs. And so I really applaud the work that you've done, and Alex, the other staff members in CTE throughout the district, and your predecessor, Mrs. Poyer, in terms of recognizing that we need to do more in this area for our students and for our community. So I really appreciate this report. I do have a couple of questions. One of them is under major point 5, section 5. Let's see, where you mention a summer trades academy. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
That's really exciting, actually.
It is
Go
actually
ahead.
really exciting. So there is a new summer trades academy that one of our building construction unions is actually going to be sponsoring. And this is the first time it's going to be in Northeast Wisconsin. And it's 100% free for our district and free for our students to attend. They are going to give an opportunity for students for 5 days to meet every day at Oshkosh West in the morning and get to go on job sites learning about all the different construction pathways, experience what it's like to actually work in these, get to talk to people in industry, and then get to do it all again the next day. So another really awesome opportunity, and businesses stepping up to support opportunities for our students.
That's great. That's wonderful. And then under strategy number 4, you mentioned, maybe I have the wrong area, but anyway, strategy D, letter D, strategy 4, that is labeled or includes technical incentive grant. Could you explain a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, our technical incentive grant helps to fund what we call IRCs, or industry recognized credentials. These are opportunities students have to earn a credential that's recognized in the workforce. So they might, I'm going to use AutoCAD as an example, they might learn a skill in an auto class, get certified, and then when they go to apply for a job, they have that industry recognized credential. And with a partnership with the Department of Workforce Development, school districts are able to get a grant to help fund those industry recognized credentials. So it's a huge opportunity for students to enter the workforce and have some different IRCs in their toolbox when they go to find a job. So that's what that is.
So when you talked about the workforce, that's a perfect example. We've gone from 2% to 8.5% in the last 2 years. And our CTE departments are excited because that money filters right back into their department then. So there's other opportunities that they can offer. So now they're like, what other IRCs are there in my area and how do we do that? So we're excited about that.
That's great. Are you going to show your slideshow?
Not tonight.
Yeah, just as a written report.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great information.
Yes,
Thanks.
appreciate it.
Mr. Yerke, referendum updates.
Good evening, Board. Happy March.
Happy March.
Before I jump into the major points of this report, I think it's just an important reminder, the scope and the scale of what we're dealing with right now. So you're well aware of the Phase 2 referendum project, but we are in the middle of planning and preparing and evaluating 7 projects currently. And the amount of time we spend each day and each week, whether it's engineering meetings, zoning meetings, picking out carpet samples, just kudos to our team who is involved in that and also doing their other jobs on top of that. The principals who are at our elementary schools who are doing double duty as planners, still running their buildings. Mr. Nehans and Mr. Fox who are managing a lot of these pieces. So it's an exciting time, but the fact that we're managing 7 different referendum projects right now, and then you add in just the general maintenance we have going on. I think it's an important reminder that we have referendum projects that are one pool of money. We also have a lot of other projects that the community is hearing about or reading about, whether it's the north gym floor or other things that were just general maintenance. If anybody ever has questions on those out in the community, I'm happy to answer those questions, whether it's referendum related or just general project related, because I know that can cause some confusion for people about where dollars are being spent and how dollars are being spent. So just a reminder on the scope and the scale of what we currently have. Some major points right now with the referendum projects going on. If you have driven past Carl Traeger Elementary School, site work has started there. We actually got a surprise, an early start, which can be alarming for kids on the playground when all of a sudden trucks are starting to roll in and they're digging a new driveway on your property. But it's good when projects start early. That gives us a little head start. But if you go out there, you'll see security fencing is up. Site work is starting to take place. Franklin is starting this week, so we hope the snow doesn't take place over the course of the next few days. because we'd like that work to continue. An important piece with these elementary school projects has been the communication to families and the community and neighbors. And Katie Neiman has done a phenomenal job of updating families. We know it can be stressful when your little kid is walking to school and we shut down a sidewalk, or when you see a playground being shut down. So we have phasing plans in place. The principals have done a great job of saying we will have play space at our facilities. It might not look like it always has, but kids will still have space to play. And that'll shift throughout the course of construction, and we've updated families as frequently as needed to say, hey, here's the changes taking place in the building. Here's what you're gonna see on the exterior. Your kids are safe. Safety protocols are in place. We're making sure that kids still have a great opportunity to learn in those buildings and to play. Some celebrations coming up. You will see some future communication on a closing ceremony at Shapiro, and then 2 groundbreakings at Oakwood and Franklin when the remodels and the renovations continue to take place. There will not be one at Carl Traeger just based on the scope of that. That's just an addition. We won't be taking any bricks and throwing them away in that process. Performing Arts Center. I was in the athletic world, but having been involved in the planning of a performing arts center has been one of the coolest experiences. Just learning about all the ins and outs of performances and performance spaces. And this is going to be an amazing facility. I think when we went and toured the facilities in our state that are comparable, ours is going to be fantastic. And I think our community will love the fact that we have a performance and a presentation space that's going to be state of the art. So some of those features that I've learned about that people are really excited about, we're going to have a full electronic rigging system. The standard is counterweight systems balance. If you've been to the Grand, you can see it. Those take up a ton of space, aren't always the safest. So when we engineered that facility, we were able to make some modifications to be able to afford a fully electronic rigging system, which is going to be great for kids and again great for safety in that facility. Romeo and Juliet balconies will be a part of our PAC, which the music staff is really excited about. From a presentation standpoint, when Dr. Davis is up performing, he's going to have 3 giant screens to put his mug on and his report up there. So again, from a performance and a play space, it's going to be just a fantastic facility. We continue to go over storage, dressing rooms, green rooms, restrooms in that space. Some middle school updates. We have met with the focus groups for the 3rd time. I just want to commend them on their flexibility and their preparation. We have gotten a ton of good ideas from those groups on the new facility. Everything from the cabinetry to how we can dedicate space and make those facilities better. Those groups have been outstanding. They've also been open to the idea that we're not just building it for them. Like, this building has to last 100 years, so we have to have that in mind when we plan it. We don't plan it for the people currently there, we plan it for kids, the community, and the family, and it has to stand the test of time. We continue to discuss the amount of glass in the building and how that's going to look from a safety security standpoint. And in fact, tomorrow we have the Vel Phillips admin team joining us in our planning meeting to give us feedback on what they would change, how they would structure the offices, their approach to glass and safety in their building, which will help us plan our next build. We continue to talk about parking lots and traffic flow from a student safety perspective and a parent drop-off perspective from a convenience standpoint. We're also talking a lot about ALPS. ALPS will be a part of that building, so how do we make sure the 4th graders in that building have play space and are comfortable in that environment? So not only are we planning that in middle school, but also the inclusion of ALPS in that space. From an art standpoint, that is also part of the Performing Arts Center project. I've learned a lot about silica and clay mixing throughout this process. We'll have a dedicated clay mixing space. We'll make sure that our art teachers are trained and have the necessary compliance pieces when we're using art, but that's going to be another space that's going to be great for our kids. That department has helped us engineer things from a cost-saving standpoint. The initial plans, we were going to add a lab in that space. There's actually a space across the hall that instead of investing in that lab internally, we're going to reuse and repurpose a space across the hall within that building. So we're always looking to value engineer in these referendum projects to hopefully stay under budget on the front end so we're not scrambling on the back end. Lots in there. Any questions about the projects we currently have going on? Dr. Herzog?
I have two, thank you. You noted under major point C, which was the Performing Arts Center update, a green room, a reference to a green room. What is a green room?
So I learned this. So
I know you did.
Used to just, some auditoriums will have just a green room. Kids are changing. That's where when a scene cuts, they're running into that room, changing or grabbing a prop for their next scene, maybe redoing makeup or hair. So what we've done in our space is knowing that we want to make sure all kids are comfortable. We actually have changing rooms or dressing rooms right across the hall from the side entry to the auditorium. And then that green room will serve as a light trap. So kids can go on and off the stage without light disruption, noise disruption. They can still grab props. They can still update their makeup or their costume. But we have changing spaces also nearby from again, every kid being comfortable, making sure we have the right safety procedures and protocols set up for kids to be able to change for a show choir event or play or a musical, and also provide that light trap to get onto stage. So the green room will be direct access right in the back of that stage, and our dressing rooms will be right across the hall. So again, more noise, kids excited about what's coming up, preparing. When it's their turn to step onto the stage, they transfer to the green room to on the stage.
Thank you. And my other question has to do with my interest in making sure that we're meeting the needs of people of varying mobility and other issues. So I'm wondering if there will be a hearing loop in
There will.
this new PAC.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So one of the things that we'll have is closed caption, and will also be the hearing loop system. And one thing I did not mention on here is the auditorium chairs. If you've been in my office over the last 3 weeks, we've had 10 chairs scattered about in here. And some of you have been in my office and voted on which chair you liked, and after some lengthy discussions, we have selected an auditorium chair.
Don't tell us, we don't want to have that
Trust
discussion
me, we're not going
tonight.
to.
Yeah.
Thank you for all your work on this. I really appreciate it.
Any other questions?
I just asked for a request for, when you mentioned parking and at the middle school that you're working on, I'm wondering if by the May report, or maybe even next month, I'm guessing you guys are already thinking through it, but I'm hoping that we, both the board and then the community, would have the update, particularly for how North will be impacted for next school year, to start communicating with those families, because I think it's going to be a big difference, right, for 1 year.
I can bring that phasing plan to
Yeah.
the next meeting and what that will look like. The plan is also to take our renderings of the middle school to F&F committee. And if they give us the thumbs up, we can bring them here and present initial renderings to the community. Okay?
That's great.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much. Moving into other reports, we have Administrative Compensation Committee.
Well, thank you.
Dr. Hess.
Thankfully, Mr. Wright ran the meeting for me, but I'll report out on it, so that's
Appreciate it.
The Administrative Compensation Committee met on Friday, February 27th. The first thing that we took up was simply confirming the idea that, given we had removed the administrator market adjustments in the budget deficit conversations that we had, there was just wanting to be a confirmation that we all are in agreement that the administrator should see the same CPI increase as all the other teams that we have within the district, and it appeared everybody was in consensus that that's certainly reasonable. We then moved on to the idea of, well, what do we do next then? In part, this came about because it was felt that there was data to demonstrate that there was a need for increases. We all appreciate that there are challenges right now in terms of budgetary constraints, and we are looking to continue to meet to flesh out some sort of plan moving forward that maybe the board could get behind. So that's what we did. We plan on having that next meeting and hopefully seeing some of those plans on March 17th at 7:30 a.m.
And you will run that one too?
I will, yes.
And we're green.
Oh,
And
yes.
we're, I was practicing today.
Excellent. Excellent.
And don't drink too much beer before the meeting.
It's 7:30 a.m.
Well.
I had a class in law school at 7:30 a.m. where their kids were.
Or have too many green donuts.
Okay, we're getting off track here. All right, Education Committee.
All right.
Get back to-
We met on Wednesday, March 4th at 7:30 a.m. We had 4 items on the agenda. We took up 3. The first one we discussed was the long-range library media plan that we as a board, by DPI requirement, are supposed to approve it once every 3 years and look at it at least annually. There was some conversation, though, about, again, what the impact of the budget reduction and some of the staffing issues that happened. And it was determined that we would have, I believe, the operations, the education side, and the technology side kind of meet and convene and try to formulate and re-present to us, says a future meeting will be, that this will be presented again, hopefully by June, what we think we can accomplish under our new realities after that vote. Next, we moved on to the 4K full-day pilot. We spent a fair amount of time on this where we were discussing the idea of maybe taking one section and offering a potential of a full-day 4K at Peace Christian School. We talked about the financial implications and maybe what would happen at our new facility that we're planning on making for that. It was supposed to come up tonight, but apparently we'll see it here again in the near future. So
April 8th.
April 8th. Awesome. And then finally, we talked about the youth apprenticeship program that Ms. Kiffmeyer and others mentioned tonight. The idea that the district would fund a youth apprenticeship program in technology, having kids at the West and North High School helping out with the Chromebooks and other things like that. So that is our commitment to fostering that, hopefully getting 8 more people on that list of what we have accomplished there. We had on the agenda to discuss tracking. We have decided that we will move that to later and allow people to work on that. So our next meeting is scheduled for April 1st at 7:30 a.m.
Well, we're hitting all the holidays, aren't we? Okay, thank you for that report. Mrs. Smeltnik, Policy and Governance.
Policy and Governance met on Thursday, February 26th at 7:30 a.m. We went through a consent agenda of policies that had been updated and reviewed by staff along with our Neola contractor who led us through this discussion. These that were on the consent agenda were just legal compliance, so they're just changes to be in compliance with current law. They are all coming to us, there are 7 of those that are coming to us tonight to approve. Then we also had approximately 9 individually considered items where we discussed more of these are best practice updates, meaning that there's a lot more discretion on how the district chooses to move forward with them. But the suggestions that were given were all of what would be considered the best practice, and all are coming forward also to be approved either for modifications. Some policies are being revoked just because they're no longer appropriate under the law and things like that. So, but those are 9 of those also coming tonight. I believe they're all on the agenda for tonight on the consent agenda. Oh, and our next meeting is not on a holiday. It's March 19th, 2026 at 7:30 a.m.
Perfect. Okay, thank you all for your committee reports. We move now to the non-agenda related public forum. We have one speaker tonight, Mrs. Ackman. And clearly state, clearly state your name, the city you reside in, topic you wish to address. If you are acting as a spokesperson for a particular group of individuals, please indicate that group you represent. State clearly and concisely the matter of concerns, and your time limit will be 3 minutes. And remember that use of specific names of district personnel may lead to legal liability. In such instances, please pursue the district's formal complaint process by contacting the superintendent's office. So, good evening.
Good evening. I'm Laura Ackman. I represent Moms for Liberty. I live in Winnebago County, specifically Larson. I just want to address the topic of pornography in schools today. Decades of research show that pornography has harmful effects on the emotional, psychological, and social well-being of adolescents. During this critical time of development, young people experience significant social, cognitive, biological, and psychological changes. Pornography alters the brain no matter the age. The adolescent brain is highly impressionable and vulnerable to forming patterns of behavior, which can be positive or negative, and they are laying down the foundation of neural pathways for years to come. This period of development can also make young people who watch porn more vulnerable to mental health issues, including depressive symptoms, reduced ability to interact in social situations, behavioral problems, low self-esteem, and poor body image. The emotional side effects of pornography consumption can negatively impact behavior, and adolescents who view porn are more likely to use illegal drugs, alcohol, and tobacco. A few data points from a paper of the American College of Pediatricians as of August 2024. 50% of our teens had seen pornography by the time they were 13, and 15% prior to the age of 11. The majority, 73% of teens, say they have consumed pornography. 52% of teens report seeing violent or aggressive behavior in pornography. In 2018, the survey of teens reported 27% of them had received texts of pornographic material. The paper concluded pornography is used to groom children for sexual abuse. Because it is harmful to children, pornography must never be used as a tool to teach children human sexuality. Pornography teaches a false narrative regarding human sexuality and how men and women form healthy sexual relationships. While most porn is consumed electronically, and it is a problem across the nation, written and graphic material also contributes to these issues. Some of the sexual explicit books in our schools that are not age appropriate contain vulgar and graphic material. Topics such as suicide, sexual abuse, incest, and rape can contribute to a harmful psychological impact to our kids. If the board cares about the safety and well-being of our students, which I do believe you all do, you talk about safety a lot, there should be more robust procedures to ensure age-appropriate materials for students in our schools. This is not book banning as previously alleged. It is about ensuring that the materials available to our students are monitored for appropriateness. And it is an issue that I think all schools need to be addressing at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mrs. Ackman, we also have you signed up for agenda-related public forum, so if you'd like to sit right there, same rules apply.
Okay. Thank you for having me. I just have some friendly amendments to two of the policies that were on your agenda tonight. The first one is for policy 1210. It's the board superintendent relationship. It says the board believes that in general it is the primary duty of the board to establish policies and that of the superintendent to administer such policies. In doing research, and I've talked at other boards, the superintendent is an employee of the school district, and the school board has the duty to oversee the administration of the district. And I just feel like this policy makes it sound like it's just the board's, the primary duty to establish policies. That really isn't what it's supposed to be. It's to oversee the administration of the district. And they are specific, these are laws pertaining to the roles and responsibility of the board and the district administrator, and this is in Wisconsin Statute 118-001 and Wisconsin Statute 118.24. And I just think I would recommend clarifying that language. In the other policy, it's policy 1230.01, and again, it says the board delegates to the superintendent the function of designing and implementing the guidelines required, detailed arrangements, etc. And again, I think that sounds a little bit vague in terms of who's responsible for what, and I would recommend that it says, school boards have a legal duty for oversight and administration of the school district. And I would ask that you look at Wisconsin Statute 120.12, Wisconsin Statute 120.13, and Wisconsin Statute 118.001. Again, just a friendly thing. The only other comment that I would want to make at this time is really on the referendums. If I understand correctly, when Bell Phillips Middle School was remodeled, there were no urinals put in the boys' bathrooms. And I've heard that from a couple of parents. I don't have kids that go there, so I can't validate that information. As you're looking at the remodel of these upcoming middle schools, I would ask that you please make sure that there are urinals in the boys' bathrooms, and if you want information as to the reason behind that, talk to the parents whose kids are uncomfortable with the current situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Can I ask if you were representing Moms for Liberty for the second, for the agenda-related public forum as well as non-agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Eileen.
Yep.
Okay, let's move to our workshop, the strategic plan, student achievement, key performance indicators. Dr. Davis.
Thank you. Okay, so tonight we want to continue our conversation about the evolution of our strategic plan into a strategic framework, which we're looking at over a 5-year period of time. So there's 2 paper handouts that were included in your materials tonight. One would be the front page to what we had looked at last time, related to a new and improved 5-year framework. The other handouts would be the current strategic plan, the first page that you have there with that strategic plan, along with some of the key performance indicators that we're going to take a look at tonight around learning and academics. So those are the 2 things, just from a reference standpoint, that I want board members to be tuned into. As we do our work tonight, again, I want to just talk through what our evolution is related to our strategic planning. Tonight, also just get an overview and get some depth into our key performance indicators, and actually thinking about what key performance indicators are, and then to specifically look at what we're looking at related to learning and academics, or student growth and achievement. As a reminder, what we're looking at in this process is also to make sure that we're true to community feedback. So as we get to a community engagement process that we'll do at the end of April, we're not going to prioritize our key performance indicators through this process tonight or in the next over the next month. But I think it's important to be able to start to build a menu of key performance indicators to have an understanding of what we will be prioritizing as we move forward. So tonight, again, I guess a couple things from a board standpoint. One, if we have, I have offered a menu of key performance indicators that would be academic related. If you have more that you think we'd like to explore, tonight would be a good time to be able to add those again to a menu that we'll prioritize after we get community feedback. So that would be one thing tonight. I think the other thing to think about in our process is we will be, after our community engagement, we will be doing a prioritization of our key performance indicators, and thinking about like what the criteria are that we'll use to, in order to have that prioritization process be effective. I've offered a couple of items tonight for consideration, but if there's additional items that we'd like to think about for using in that prioritization process, now would be a good time. It doesn't have to just be tonight, but now is a good time to start thinking about that as we're moving forward. So really projecting between now in June, as we'd like to be able to land a new strategic framework in June, so our teachers and staff can start to do planning around our new indicators and some of our strategies as we're moving forward in the summertime and as we launch for next year. So just want to be able to take you again through some of the new and improved areas for our framework. We've looked at this before when you take a look at our vision and mission. Again, really trying to make sure that we're using language that's consistent across the district as we're moving forward. And this is simplifying some of the work that we have done right now in our current vision and mission. But for our vision, all students are community, career, and college ready. We've talked about that a lot tonight. And our mission, what we're doing on a daily basis to provide that rigorous and engaging learning environment for student success. So that's what we're positioning ourselves for. So when we're thinking about key performance indicators, there really should be an alignment, and the indicators should be indicating that we're either making progress towards or we're at a healthy space for accomplishing that vision and mission. So those aren't just things that we just put on the top of the page. That actually should be guiding what we're going to choose for measurements and indications. We also have done some consolidation related to our values and looking at our values that I see and with the idea that these are going to be able to be reinforced, be able to be modeled within our spaces as we start the school year next year, in the IC acronym being integrity, safety, engagement, and excellence as we move forward. And that'll be something that will kick off as part of our protocols next year, looking at how we create our norms for classrooms, how we create our norms for our schools, whether it's cafeteria or hallways or whatever it is. And then I'll also, as we get into this, also likely in August, bring this back to the board to talk about, as we're leading a system that has these values, what does that look like, sound like, and feel like at a board level? So we'll go through an exercise similar to like our teachers would do, and we'll do that in August as we kick off the school year. But important tonight as we move forward with the new model is thinking about our 4 core areas, which are similar to what we've had previously. What's changing significantly that we talked about would be what we look at for our rating system, where we currently have our 1 through 5-star rating system. We're going to transition into more of what we call a stoplight system, which would be a green, yellow, red, as we would move forward for our ratings. The idea of this is just to be much more explicit about what the actual results are, and do we feel like those results are meeting our progress and our expectations as we're moving forward? Are we like, well, we're kind of there, we've made some progress, but we're not quite there yet, in yellow, and red being places that we would bring our attention and resources to that we just haven't been able to make progress there, or maybe we had decreases to. So the idea is to be able to create a more simplified dashboard, if you will, from the community and the board and our staff to be able to look at to see those specific areas as we move forward. So I just put some of the rating definitions on this page. So this would be the top part of the page that you're looking at. The bottom part of the page, again, is going to be proposed to be a table that would indicate an opportunity for us to look at our longitudinal results as we would select our key performance indicators. So you can see on this table we don't have our KPIs selected yet because we're not going to do that until we get our community feedback. But when we do our prioritization, we'll have our KPIs listed on that left-hand side. We'll determine what our measurement is going to be and what that baseline measurement is coming into next year. And then also do some exercises related to where we want to be in 5 years to be able to stretch ourselves into a goal that we want to be able to hit for each one of those key performance indicators. Now, one of the challenges for us as a group is going to be able to do some prioritization around our key performance indicators. And certainly now we have 19 key performance indicators. We'd really like to get down to between 5, 7, 10 key performance indicators, no more than 10, like in an organization our size. And not that those are the only things that are being measured across our system. We'll have a lot of sub-measures that we'd have in different departments. But we want to think about at a high level, what are the most vital measures that we would know whether or not this system is healthy or not to achieve that vision and mission. So that's really what this dashboard should show. As we would move forward. So the idea is that this would be a front-facing document for the community to see. And we would build it over a 5-year period of time. So when we get the results in from each year, we'd be able to populate that particular cell. So if you take a look at line 1, whatever that KPI would be, we would have a baseline. When we finish up 26, 27, we would have our result, our percentage, whatever that would be. So say it's reading proficiency. We would have our reading proficiency number that would be demonstrated on that, in that cell. And then that would be colored either green, yellow, or red, depending on whether or not we hit our annual goal for that time. So the annual goals won't be on this sheet, that'll be on another sheet, but you'd be able to see whether or not we made progress based on the color coordination. So if you fast forward to 2031, as we look at if we achieve our 5-year goals or not, what you'll be able to see is our progress on each key performance indicator and whether or not on an annual basis we hit our marks to be able to get to that 5-year point. That allows us as a board and as a leadership team to, on an annual basis, take a look at these marks and be able to see pretty clearly where our reds and our yellows are, and especially our reds, and then be able to talk about what strategies are we going to build out and support, where are we putting resources to make sure that we can correct that trend and be able to move forward. So the idea is to be much more simplistic and direct with our results in the way to be able to communicate more effectively with our community. When you look at our current strategic plan, there's a lot of translation between like what a star rating is and then what the percentage in core areas were, and in just reflecting and looking at other models, I think this is a really a good opportunity for us just to be much more clear with the community. So again, this is what that framework would look like. So let me just pause there, see if there's any questions or clarifications or comments up to that point.
I like this. I like the simplicity. We don't have to even discuss this right now, but as we move forward under the values, under integrity, I wish we would see transparency added to that as well. Honesty, consistency, and transparency.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Dr.
Thank you. I was just going to add that this is sort of a mirror image of what is done at the CESA 6. And that's been very helpful to have them report back on their KPIs. And not only do we see at a glance where they are on that continuum of the ratings, but there's always an explanation of why they are there. And if it's green, the next time they set goals, they set what might be called stretch goals. So they're not satisfied just to be at that green level, but where can they continuously improve and move that needle along. So I think the simplicity, as Mrs. Wyman said, is really key and will be easier for the public to understand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing that I'll notice has changed since we looked at this on, February 19th, is in the rating system.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need to dwell on it here, but I just want to make the point. I see yellow now as an improvement goal not met and current level maintained. And I just want to be clear that depending upon what goal we're talking about, that may not be sufficient. That when we're talking about achievement, to say that we just stayed the same, given where we're presently at, that would be a red in my mind.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I get that we're going to set a goal, and improvement that doesn't meet that goal could be construed as yellow, but I'm a little worried about seeing current level maintained and saying that every possible goal that we have, if we stay the same, we're okay with that.
Yeah, no,
So-
that's helpful feedback, and those are some of the nuances and the definitions, some of the nuances and the definitions that we can work through as we're making progress here. One of the things, and we won't get into it yet, but one of the things that we will be working through for each one of these key performance indicators are what's our agreed upon range for red, yellow, and green. So we all have the same understanding of what that target is as we're moving forward. So that's something I think in this model I want to be much more, again, definitive on. So yeah. So thanks for bringing that up. And again, that's why now's a good time to be able to have those conversations. So. Okay, so I'm just moving on. I want to spend a little bit of time on, again, what are key performance indicators. And so from a board and a community standpoint, one of the parallels that I like to make in thinking about at a district level, what our key performance indicators would be, because we have so many measures and we can go to so many different layers as we move forward, I think sometimes that puts organizations into paralysis. And again, as we would have 19 to 25 KPIs, that starts to be an overwhelming amount to be able to process and prioritize, and when everything's prioritized, nothing is prioritized. So really trying to think about how do we get down to, right around an 8 to 10, type of mark. So it's helpful for me, and I just offer this as a parallel, if you will, of thinking about going to a doctor's visit, right? So as you go to a doctor's visit, every time you go to the doctor, you don't have an MRI, you don't have maybe extensive testing, you have basic benchmarks, blood pressure, heart rate, temperature, height, and weight. Those are like the key vitals that you would take every time to see how you are overall from a health and wellness standpoint. Obviously, if any one of those is triggering outside an acceptable range, there's going to be further tests that are done, further investigation that might lead down a particular path. So the idea, though, is that like our vitals, right, translating into the school example, are what we'll prioritize as indications for a healthy system at a 30,000 foot level. So it's not going to get into some of the details necessarily, and again, we'll have a lot of those details at a department level or at a building level, but at a board level, it'll be important for us to be able to do some prioritization to stay at that high level. Again, that these indicators should be signs of health in the system that should match what we have, what we're setting for our vision and mission as we're moving forward. So that'll be some of the work that we do. The examples I have up there are just some examples that both we've used and other districts have used. So there's nothing specific or special about those. But the idea is that that this is at a high level, which is somewhat different, like as you would look at some other examples from districts potentially, and different from where we've been varying from. So again, the key performance indicators are the metrics. And so as we're thinking about our criteria for prioritizing what those metrics are, there's some things that have come up through some conversations. Tim and Mike and Sam and I have had some conversations just related to like key performance indicators and how do we work through those. So one of the things that's come up in those conversations is making sure that the key performance indicators are outputs of the system. So if we're going to look at health of the system, there should be outputs of what the system are versus inputs. And so if you take a look at like our current strategic plan as an example, like one of our inputs would be having a safety plan. Like we currently have that as a key performance indicator. Not that a safety plan is not important, but having a safety plan doesn't necessarily indicate that the system is performing in a healthy manner. So moving from that inputs to making sure that we have outputs as we're prioritizing will be important as we're moving forward. One of the conversations that I had recently was also just around being able to formulate SMART goals in our as we're using our key performance indicators, because it's one thing to be able to have the indicator as what measure we're using. It's another process to be able to create that goal and have that be something that's, again, a SMART goal, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, to make sure that it's something that can be tracked. This is really important for us to do not only at a board level, so we can set some clear directions for the rest of our system, but we'll also see that cascade down into the building level, down into the classroom level as we're moving forward. So one of the things I'd like to do at our next meeting on April 8th is have a principal and a classroom example about how they've used previous indicators to be able to demonstrate how they use it in the classroom, because I think there's some good important parallels for us to understand how they're going to use it, because if we're setting direction across the system, like it's definitely going to impact both what buildings and what our classrooms are measuring. So we'll have just some examples of that. As Tim had brought up before, looking at just different potential different ratings, it's like yellow was brought up as an example, and again we can work through those. one of the I think the important concepts also that we'll need to talk about, depending on what the measure is looking at goals that would be, both SMART goals, but thinking about goals that would be for improvement and that we need to make progress on, and kind of thinking about a 3% increase, each year for the next 5 years. And potentially goals and whatever we would choose that would be sustainment goals. So if you'd be at a high level, so like a graduation rate is an example from a school district standpoint, that we might be at a 97 or 98% graduation rate. Like if if you're at an acceptable level, right, that's okay. What we'd want to do is make sure that we're setting that goal to be able to sustain that quality level of excellence, right? And so a green might not necessarily mean 1% more or 2% more. It might mean that you sustain that range. So thinking about, again, back to a doctor's visit, like if I'm within my blood pressure range that I need to be in a healthy way, like that's okay. Like that's going to be a green, great, you're good to go. I think there's many times, and I'm guilty of this also in thinking about SMART goals and the need to be able to just continue to drive progress. Certainly in our math and reading, we need to be able to do that. But sometimes I think we forget about some of the important measures that might just be more about sustainment. And especially as we progress in this plan and we improve our ranges or improve our performances, we may get to some points, depending on what measures we have, that would be more sustainable. So just want to put that on our radar as just different ways to think about those goals, so we don't get boxed in necessarily to just something that would be like improvement driven. Although we're always looking to improve, sometimes sustaining that high level is part of the hardest things that you can do, and we run strategies in order to keep that sustainment. So just wanted to be able to kind of check in on that. Also looking at just again criteria related to prioritization. Recommendation is that all 4 of our core areas have at least one key performance indicator. So the idea of that is, yes, we're focused on student achievement, but to have 8 of our key performance indicators be on student achievement and nothing on our finance and operations doesn't give us a full look at the health of an organization. So we'd want to make sure that we have indicators in each one of our core areas. Maybe we'd just have one indicator in a particular core area, and that's something that we'll have to work for. But that's part of the trickiness of us being able to do that prioritization. So you can start to see, depending on what we would prioritize as our key performance indicators, it's tough to get down to 8 to 10, but that'll be part of our work and to be able to provide some clarity for the rest of the system. And as I had mentioned before, high-performing organizations our size, districts and companies, 5 to 10 KPIs at a full system level. So that would be part of our recommendations. So again, I listed here in the following slides, which you've looked at, just the menu of student growth and achievement key performance indicators. Some of that we've used in the past, some of which, like the senior final word, would be some things that we've pulled from other districts. And I would welcome any other indicators that board members feel might be worth putting on, again, the menu here for us to be able to take a look at a system level. So this would be the point where we'd be, more creating what that menu would be. Our prioritization then will come after we have some direction from the community on what the themes they're looking for over the next 5 years, and then we'd help match up what those indicators would be. So if there's any indicators, again, that you from a board standpoint would be interested in, or and maybe going back, any other criteria that you think would be important for us to take a look at, tonight's a good night to be able to have that discussion and consideration, so we can continue to build our march as we move forward. In the next couple meetings that we'll have in April, again, I'm going to have principal and teacher example coming up how they would use some of our direction, especially around student achievement and academic growth. But then we'll also be talking about what is our menu for our other core areas. So what are we possibly looking at as related to finance and operations and some of our other core areas as we're moving forward. So that's the path that we're on. Then we'll have our community engagement at the end of April, and then our prioritization process will take place in May and June, and that'll be not only prioritizing what our KPIs will be, but also getting some agreement related to those ratings, so we can hit the ground running as we get going for next year. So with that, I'll just open it up again. You know, you had some details on what these key performance indicators are, so that's in some of the following slides. But I'd like to just finish there and then just open up with any either criteria or additional key performance indicators you would have related to learning and academics, student growth and achievement types of areas.
Well, I kind of have a stupid question probably, but I'm going to ask anyways. So looking at this here, of the menu, okay, so all of these things I'm looking at, and I can see that we should be able to track them, right, to see how we're doing. I guess I'm a little bit confused or not fully understanding the senior final word.
Yes, that's thanks for bringing that up. So the senior final word would be an addition, so that would be something that I added to the menu.
Okay.
And there's a link inside your packet. There's a link to be able to see a video on it. But it's an opportunity to be able to provide some student voice and some narrative, to have students essentially telling their story of how they feel, their learning experience has been, how the district has prepared them, what their plans are, so that's something that I have experience on, not necessarily at a senior high level, but at a transition level between elementary and middle school in a previous district. I know we do have some pockets across the system. I know in communities they do something similar to this as an exercise, but this would be standardizing it across the board. What the challenge of that would be, from again setting SMART goals on that, would be, what would be the indicator? Is it completion of that senior final word? Is there rubrics and ratings that are provided? That's what we did, rubrics and rating system in my previous district for our sixth graders. So that'll be a little bit trickier than some of the other ones. Doesn't mean I don't think it doesn't mean we shouldn't consider it, but it would be a little bit trickier as part of that process. So I love the storytelling of it, and I will tell you, it was some of the most compelling and emotional testimonies when our kids can have that voice to be able to tell our stories and amplify our storytelling, but does go beyond a percentage. So that'll be, I just offer that as consideration as part of the prioritization process. So, but thanks for bringing that up.
I know there's a lot of discussion between growth and achievement. I'm wondering if a different way of looking at it, academics, could be addressing the achievement gap or the opportunity gap. I was just quickly looking up, what other local districts are measuring as, and they don't necessarily term them as KPIs, but both Neenah and Appleton are utilizing the idea of reducing the achievement gap in ELA in particular. But I think that should be on as an option as well.
Sure. Great.
And they then use various indicators from any state mandated assessment to get that average decrease in the gap.
Yeah, we'll add that to the menu. So, thank you.
Even as I'm saying, and I'm talking myself out of it, but AP, whether it's scores or participation, I'm just thinking, one of the critiques that we've heard is that the highest achieving students don't want to come to OSD, and I want to make sure we're doing something to track that cohort as well. I don't know if that's AP or if that's something we can just capture with achievement going up in general.
So would that be just like accelerated learn or advanced learning opportunities?
Yeah.
At a high school? Okay.
And again, maybe that's for the overall health of the system is too granular, but
sure.
We just want to throw it out there.
Yeah. Okay. Any other just thoughts on and again, it doesn't have to be only tonight, and then this is your only chance. Something to think about, but wanted to be able to introduce this tonight. And just from a board standpoint, the important exercise is going to be the prioritization, right? So to really think through at a system level, what do we want to measure at a system level? And again, we'll have a lot of other dashboards that'll be below that system level, that'll be more at the department level, building levels, classroom levels. Each level will have their own associated measures. We just want to make sure that we're setting the tone at a district level, because there should be a through line between what is being measured at the classroom level and that's at the district level, right, to be able to move that forward. So.
I guess my other comment,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
My other comment I'd make related to that is one of the things that I would like to see if we can figure out, I get that KPIs are supposed to be one thing, and I don't know if they need to be exactly one data point, but I see there is value in somehow having a combined data point of being able to address things from the grade 3 to 11 level, or grade even longer if we can. And I would like to see if what are some options for that being on here as well, of like how you can combine those in. And yes, I guess that's what the state report cards attempt to do, but that's a very flawed system in my view.
And I was questioning whether I'd bring it up because I don't necessarily see it as different, but in the state report card, it's not what they report out, but in the data set that comes with it, they absolutely give percentage of proficiency, and that is a composite of the forward and the ACT. So it does capture the 3 through 11. So that's my opinion of the measure of achievement that captures the majority of the system. So that
would be an example.
Mr. Wright asked me last time what it is. That's what I was kind of framing it under, but it's all open to discussion, I guess. So.
And is that do they keep redefining what proficiency is though in that data set or not?
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
I really like the SMART goals. I believe that those add an element of accountability that is really important, and so I'm glad to see those listed, if that ends up as being one of the criteria.
And I think given what Dr. Davis had told us, there's room for what both of you are saying. I mean, right from a district-wide standpoint, the general KPIs, we probably want a composite indicator, but when you're translating that or bringing that down to the school level, it's going to be their grades that they're focused on. So, I mean, even if that's not what we're presenting as the board, I mean, that's going to be data that they're using to drive their decision-making, and we can certainly get access to that and see it.
Okay, any other feedback? So again, just want to get the wheels turning tonight. As you think of things, or as you're looking at other, hearing from other districts, just shoot me a note, because we want to be able to build a menu to be able to look at. We'd really have over the next month to be able to generate that, because we want to make sure that we have, the menu set, so when we hear from the community at the end of April, we've got some things in mind that we're thinking of how will this match, and engaging in that community engagement, or in that community feedback process, will be important to say, like, oh yeah, we were right on, this is right on track, or like, oh, like we have to come up with maybe something we haven't thought of. So so the more we can build that, and if there's any other criteria, I'm happy to do that, and we'll be back on April 8th to talk about some of the other core areas, along with some examples from, I think, a principal and a teacher, just to be able to visualize how this is going to play itself out. So,
I guess, like, something to think about. I think, like, I think it's some people in the community, probably not all, but when they think about public schools in a sense right now, because there's been a lot of change, and some can be good, and some I think we're still trying to see, like, because we've had this discussion in our own household. Like, our students really helped by being given multiple chances at exams, or being able to turn things in late. Like from a rigor standpoint, right? Like, how do we show that our system's healthy and challenging, and that the metrics we're using, or the interventions or whatever, where we're trying to get kids ready, like, how do we prove that within these KPIs, right? Because I know there's all kinds of arguments, but some people would say we need more rigor and accountability in different ways, right? So how do we use these KPIs to show that we're getting lots of growth this other way, which isn't traditional, because none of us ever grew up with being able to really turn an assignment in twice or retake a test or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
So like using that as an example, the way that I would see it is, again, the board would set district level key performance indicators, right? And they'll be both, at a building level, classroom level. As we would see, if achievement isn't where we want it to be, right, around reading and math, like just as an example, right? When we're thinking about what we do about it, like the strategies really are going to be the administrators, the teachers, hearing feedback from parents to be able to develop strategies. So if we identify that particular practice is a barrier for kids not getting, a rigorous experience or understanding what time management is and like that type of value, that would be a strategy that we would take a look at then and looking at modifying that practice and being able to implement that through, whether it more so in that case, probably professional practice versus anything else. But that would be one example. And really it goes for any of the KPIs that we would see either be, yellow or red that would be stagnant, to be able to say like what's broken in the process, right? Like what do we need either develop as better practice or change practices to do to be able to make that progress. And that'll be critical for our teachers to be able to be empowered to be able to have that feedback, because they're the ones with the kids all the time, knowing that they have metrics to be able to meet. And as those metrics are clear, right, through this process, like that's already, I know in some of our previous conversations, already getting people's attention around like we're really looking at the forward exam, or we're really looking at iReady results and how we're using that. So the strategy part, I think, is important from a staff standpoint, to be able to just continue to be able to process that. And as we have feedback from parents, or we have feedback from just best practices in the industry, I think that would be important.
I think of it, Chris, as like a check engine light, right? My check engine light goes on. I'm not a mechanic. I don't know how to fix it, but I know something's wrong, and I need to empower the people that know how to fix it. And I think that's, as a board, I think that's what will make us a healthy board, that we have an idea of a clear way of identifying what we want our goals to be, a clear way of identifying when it's not working. And then that's up to us to strategize. How do we empower the folks to actually know how to do the job, our teachers and our administrators, to actually get it done?
Yeah. I agree, and I only asked just because I think that's how that's done, or how a system looks at those things, is a very, very crucial part of the educational process, an accountability process and growing, so I don't know, I think as a board, being able to measure, and these are all things we've all had on here kind of before, and we're probably going to talk about how we measure them in a different way, and hopefully the community will give us different suggestions. But anyone in the community is going to say, or most people, we're going to measure math, we're going to measure reading. I read, because we've talked about these things my whole time on the board. You know what I mean? So none of that stuff none of it's new, right? So we're going to be talking about, do we want to add anything to those things, or how do we condense them, and how do we get a fair readout on if the system is actually performing or not? I think that's going to be the big question.
And don't underestimate, I think, the value of the clarity part of this, because even though we've been talking about it, right, like the idea of that, did that clearly get down to, a building and a classroom level when we had our key performance indicators, right? So from an iReady standpoint, and to be fair, from a strategic plan standpoint, on our current strategic plan, the forward exam, other than being part of the district report card, wasn't a particular KPI, right? We used iReady. So just being really clear on what we have to be able to look at, I think is going to be really important for us. So even though, again, we've had a lot of conversations, this will be something that we can be a lot more explicit about what those measurements are. And again, I think it'll be helpful to be able to hear from people that are doing the work in the buildings at our next meeting to be able to provide that.
Thank you.
Great start.
Great.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Our last item is the consent resolution agenda. For the consent agenda, the board's been furnished with the background material on each item or as discussed at a previous meeting. Be acted upon with one vote without discussion. If a board member would like to discuss any item, it will be pulled out of the consent agenda and voted on separately. No board vote is needed at this point to move resolutions from consent to individually considered. Is there a motion?
I would like to remove item 4B and 5C.
So noted. Is there a motion for the remainder of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Ford, Herzog?
Hess.
Aye.
Smeltnik.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Wyman.
Aye.
DeWitt. Aye. Ford.
Aye.
Herzog.
Aye.
The remaining of the consent resolution carries.
Thank you. Let's look at 4B. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Appointment of an administrator? Dr. Hess.
I am struggling with this one. And it's not that I wasn't in the interviews. It's not my job to be in the interviews. The administration finds a candidate and brings it forward to us, recommends it to us. My concern is this, however, that we have an administrative compensation committee, and in that committee, we put together, apparently, a range of salaries that different positions were supposed to take, or a range of salaries that we had comparable districts, and we had a range of salaries that like positions in those districts would have. Now, I have asked for that specific data and have not received it. I started asking for that in October. I'm frustrated that I don't have that data yet. However, what we were provided were the minimums and the maximums. And so I went in, and this one is a pretty easy one to go to the DPI and look up. And when I look at I believe we got 12 districts that are in our comparable districts that we decided upon. And when I looked at the salaries within those, we had salaries ranging from 140 up to 185. My concern is this, that when I look at the job posting that was posted, I believe it was like December 29th, on WeCan, it has a salary range of 160,000 to 170,000. And my struggle is, why is it the case that we are listing a salary range here between 160 and 170, yet of all of our comparables, only 2 out of the 9 fall within that range? And so, and this isn't something that comes before us. And so now we're stuck in this position where this salary range that was listed in the job description is potentially substantially higher than what other comparable districts provide to their personnel that have this. My understanding is that part of this job listing suggests that this person is supposed to have the business manager certification, and my understanding is, and looking it up, this person does not have that yet. My understanding is this person, the expectation or preferred experience was substantial knowledge in self-funded health insurance plans, and somebody coming from a district with only 505 students, I doubt they are self-funding there. So it's not the candidate itself, but it's I don't understand from an HR perspective why we list the range so high when we spent time developing ranges of what people should fall in, and then it seems like we ignored it. And to me, this is kind of consistent with, say, when we were purchasing properties near South Park. What we were offering was just substantially higher, and I'm going, every time we do a $20,000 thing here, a $15,000 thing there, all of that adds up. And I heard in December that part of our budget deficit was the state isn't giving us enough money, and I go, well, there are small little decisions like this that can add up a great deal. And so I don't have a problem with the person, I have a problem with the process that we went through. And so for that reason, I am voting no against this. At some point, we have to allow for the possibility that not everybody is worth a supreme amount. We've got to give them an appropriate value for their money. I don't know for sure that this person isn't, but I know for sure that the range that was listed in the job vacancy is out of line with what we said our ranges were. And I can't accept that.
Yeah, and I'll just say, like, it's not a supreme amount. It is within the ranges. I'm happy to sit down and, with those numbers in preparation for the meeting as you're looking at materials, if you have those questions, happy to do that prior to the meeting. We can sit down later this week if you want to. It was the range that we put is within what the market and competitiveness is of our peers, as we want to be able to get quality people in Oshkosh. It's important for us to be within that range. And the committee felt, we had 3 rounds of interviews, 3 different groups, I should say, in the first round, and then follow-up. And we believe we're getting a high-quality person who's going to come in here and do some good things and be compensated in a competitive way for the job that's going to be done.
So are you
And she will have her business license as of May. So by the time she starts July 1st, she'll have that licensure.
So are you able to tell us what the potential offer is?
It's in
Yeah, it's in the packet.
yeah.
160.
So if you read through the packet, you can see that.
I did read
and
through the
then-
packet, I must have missed it, sorry.
Okay, no problem. So yeah, and again, happy to.
To clarify, Tim, you're saying the range, I thought you said that the range of the comparables was 140 to 180.
Yes.
And then what was listed on our district's thing was 160 to 170?
Yes.
How is that not within that range?
That is within that range, but what it doesn't allow is the prospect of presumably, and I don't know this for sure, I didn't go into that much detail, but presumably, like the person who was making 140 is really relatively new to that position.
Or presumably a
Or
smaller
doesn't
school
have it.
district?
Well,
Yeah.
maybe, but
Mostly.
these were all selected on the basis of being close to us, that these were, the Administrative Compensation Committee had a discussion and this board voted on them. So we're talking Appleton was the 140 that I was talking about.
Okay.
So it is within that range. There are districts that pay less. Certainly, you can say 160 is within the range of what we are seeing, but now there is no opportunity to offer lower than the 160, because that's
Okay,
what we
but-
posted in the job.
Any
Right.
other comments?
Can I make a motion to approve? Or do you want to talk?
No, I think we already did. We already made the motion.
All
Second.
right, then let's just.
Yeah.
Well, perhaps one way to address this moving forward is when we have a central office administrator to bring the job description posting and the proposed range to the Facilities and Finance Committee to get more input before it's posted.
Or the Administrative Compensation
Yeah.
Committee.
Or Administrative Compensation Committee.
Which will be
But at
narrowing
least a
down
board
soon.
committee.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Stiltner.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Wyman.
Aye.
DeWitt. Aye. Ford.
Aye.
Herzog.
Aye.
Hess.
No.
Resolution carries.
Okay, and our final item is 1210, Board Superintendent Relationship. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Stiltner and Wright.
Mhm. Dr. Hess?
So I pulled this one, and certainly I can be critiqued because I'm on the Policy and Governance Committee, and I was sick on that day, so I had my opportunity. But if there's something that I don't see as right, that doesn't mean I have to vote on it because I didn't make it to that meeting. And so here's my concern. The last paragraph of that policy says that an individual board member, and this is the new component, and individual board members who receive communications regarding matters within the purview of the administration, including but not limited to personnel concerns and/or student-parent concerns, shall immediately refer concerns to the superintendent, or if the concerns are related to the superintendent, to the board president. And one, I read that and I say, it seems to me that that is already implicit in our job function, that when there are concerns and there are issues with it, and it's something that the administration can deal with, then we would normally bring it there. And so I'm struggling with why do we have to write that in there? Now, if I'm struggling with why we have to write that in there, there's also something then that makes me feel like this could be problematic, and that is this, that when, I would say on a typical month, not December when we're doing the budget reductions, but on a typical month, I'm going to get roughly 5 calls from the community. Some of them are staff, some of them are parents. And generally, there's going to be at least 2 of them, which is a staff member or a parent saying, I've got a concern, but I have concerns about going forward to, say, the administration and giving it to them. And so I would like to remain anonymous. And they are concerned about that because they're fearful of repercussions. And in some instances, if I brought it to administration and didn't use a name, it is going to be abundantly obvious what the situation is, what school it is, and who that would be then. So you could easily identify it. And so I'm going, there are a bunch of situations where people call, they want to express concerns, and I believe there is value for having somebody serving within this administration or serving on the board, listening to them, hearing them out, giving them recommendations. You know, I will always say, you know, if it's a problem with a principal, well, here's our directors that you could talk to, or you can talk to the superintendent. There are people that are interested in doing to help you, but I'll leave it to you. And my concern is, as I read this, and it seems to me that it's saying, I have to bring it to the superintendent immediately. And I'm going, well, that's a problem to me. I don't want to vote for something that I know I'm not going to do, and now somebody can say to me, well, you're violating board policy. You are supposed to bring that. So it doesn't address that. And given, I feel like these actions are kind of implicit anyways, I don't see the need for having this in the board policy. So I would like to move to strike that last paragraph out of that policy. That is my motion.
I'll second.
Mrs. Smeltnik.
So, that's fine, you were sick at the meeting, and it's absolutely fine, you can bring these up however you choose to at board meetings. Professional courtesy, though, it would have been nice to have a heads up so that I could also go back in and be better prepared for this. However, since I am a lawyer, I'm pretty good at thinking on my feet and responding to some of this. And I also think, though, I would hope some of the things that are also implied already in our policies is that professional courtesy to each other and to the superintendent. And that is why I believe that these kind of things need to be explicitly written out at times, of that there are times when, yes, we are made aware of things and it's not appropriate. It's not within the purview of the superintendent that it gets forwarded. Sometimes there are things that we are made aware of as board members that should be investigated by him, or say that they are the most appropriate people to be addressing it, and that's what we are attempting to make very clear in the roles of the board and the superintendent, to give everybody the guardrails for it. So I guess my couple of my points for this are, when the reason that you have policies is to explicitly say things that maybe do need to be said. And you're right, there are a lot of things that could be implied or could not, but we have a whole lot of policies that, and I believe this one is a valid reason to make very clear of who should be doing the investigations and that is not board members. And I get that. I think it's also important to note that not every comment or discussion that any of us has with a member of the community is, even if it has to do with something happening in the district, that's not all going to be within the superintendent's purview. We give feedback all the time to people. We have conversations. That is clearly our role. That is not something that would be that you would be mandated to do. And you can choose how you interpret any policy. I think this is a very good guardrail and reminder that we are not the investigative agencies, and it is there are very explicit complaint processes that should be followed, and then that should also be followed by board members. This is just explicitly putting that same process in place as for board members as it is with the community.
I'm wondering if there's a specific board policy, Dr. Hess, that you feel already covers this or has similar language. I'm just asking for information.
I do not know that there is a specific policy other than, if Ms. Ackman is gone, we are supposed to operate in the general interest of the district, and making sure people are happy is one of those functions, and we're trying to do it exercising our independent judgment. And sometimes my judgment is I don't feel like I should be making a call and doing anything and submitting it to somebody else.
Out of curiosity, and I don't know, because I'm not on policy and I didn't know this was going to be pulled, but so just so I can understand better, do you have some examples that have happened to you where this policy would have prevented you from, you think, being a good board member? This new policy would have.
If you take it as the interpretation of the attorney, and she is saying that if somebody comes to me and expresses a concern about a principal but chooses to not ask me explicitly, to not share it with anybody, to not forward it to the Board of or to the superintendent, well, is that of the purview of, it is a personnel concern. Is that in the purview of the administration? Well, it's a concern about an administrator. If you interpret that as yes, then this board would, or this policy would seem to tell me that I have an obligation to forward it on to the superintendent. Now, I think what Molly was saying is that she doesn't believe that is the case, but I interpret the language differently than her.
Well, and I think it's all based on how you interpret the policy, because the way you interpret it could be completely different than I. So then, if in fact something came up that was supposed to go to the superintendent and not, because I'm interpreting it one way and you're interpreting it another way, where do you come to the middle, essentially? See what I'm saying? So I
think it's good to have a specific policy. As board members, we could get involved in a lot of garbage And I agree, I don't think that's our role, and I'm sorry if I cut you off, Mrs. DeWitt.
Oh, I just asked Mike if my comment made sense because
Oh,
of his question.
it did, absolutely, but I think the guidelines are good, and I think it provides some consistency, and I don't think board members should be in the business of solving things on our own. It also, if one teacher, well, not even a teacher, if one person is coming to a board member and they're going to there and going to there, there may be a real problem that we need to get to a central source so the problem can be talked about, it can go to HR. I don't know what problem this is, but I think that gets really dicey when we take those things into our own hands.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that the point, and this was outlined in both the Policy and Governance Committee meeting and in this board meeting, I believe. The summary of the reason for this policy and this kind of language is to define the relationship and establish and the board's role is to establish policies. It's the superintendent's responsibility to administer them. That our focus needs to be on that point and establishing the clear lines of authority. If we, again, there's lots of discussion of us overstepping into the weeds, and this is the policy that is attempting to make sure that we are not the ones acting outside of our authority as board members. And because remember, as individual board members, we have no authority.
And I get that, but it's this policy that somebody is going to hold us to, not somebody's summary on a Policy and Governance Committee meeting agenda.
Yep.
So.
See, when I found out Dr. Hess was sick, I was excited because I was like, I'm going to sneak through this paragraph. It's going to be a whole thing. No, this was this was Neola, boilerplate addition. So full disclosure, Tim contacted me and asked how I interpreted this, which is probably why he didn't contact any of you at all because of walking quorum issues. And I interpreted it like you did, Molly. I'm like, well, I get to determine what's in the purview or not in the purview. But I also said, and it's true, I have no concern if we strike this paragraph. I mean, I think that the role of the school board member, and I think you're probably hard-pressed to find someone who is more adamant about the separation of governance versus operations than myself, because I don't shut up about it. I think that's clearly defined in state statute. I feel comfortable having it defined elsewhere, and I think the way we get to a high-functioning board is by building trust in whether that's job descriptions or something. I think that's going to be a more effective long-term strategy. So I have no issue getting rid of this, even though it sounds like it's probably going to stay. But that's just my take.
Okay, so currently we have a motion to strike the last paragraph and a second. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so that's what we are voting on
Yes.
right now.
Yes. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
No.
Wyman.
No.
DeWitt.
Yes.
Ford.
Aye.
Herzog.
Aye.
Hess.
Aye.
Smeltney.
No.
Motion passes.
All right.
Motion carries.
I'm sorry.
Okay, wait, no.
I think I may have voted incorrectly. Could you please read the motion again?
Hess made the motion to strike the last paragraph of policy 1210. Last paragraph is, individual board members who receive communications regarding matters within the purview of the administration, including but not limited to personnel concerns or student/parent concerns, shall immediately refer concerns to the superintendent, or, if the concern relates to the superintendent, to the board president. The request was to strike that from the policy.
I did not intend to strike that, no. So I should have voted
No, I think you voted the right way then.
no.
No. She wants to vote no.
Yeah, I want to vote no. I want to keep it.
Okay, so I'm going to go down the list.
Okay.
And I have DeWitt as aye.
Yep.
I have Ford as aye.
Yep.
Correct.
I have Herzog as no.
Yep.
Hess as aye.
Yep.
Smeltney as no.
Yep.
Wright as no.
Yep.
Wyman is no. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, so then we have, we have no.
I apologize, I misinterpreted the.
So then we have to vote.
So then we,
Motion does not.
then we need another motion to accept the policy.
Well, that was on the
That's already
table,
on the
right?
floor.
That's already on there.
Smeltney and Wright were the
Yeah.
first and the second on that.
Okay.
So we just have to vote on it.
Just have to vote.
It's got to
on it.
vote.
That was a long time ago.
Do you want to discuss it, or are we just voting? Just voting?
Yes, please,
Okay.
thank you.
Wyman,
Aye.
DeWitt,
No.
Ford,
Aye.
Herzog,
Aye.
Hess,
No.
Smeltney,
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Okay, any request for future agenda items for committee review, discussion?
I do for facilities and finance, and I was going to bring it up tomorrow at facilities and finance, but why not say it here? I hope that at some point we can discuss as a committee the kind of future budget reduction process, just to make sure board and admin expectations are aligned, considering we're likely going to be facing this in the coming years again.
Thank you. Announcements?
I do have two.
Okay.
Thank you. First of all, I attended the Fox Valley Tech Appointment Committee meeting on March 5th. This is an annual meeting typically attended by superintendents or a fellow board member, and so I attended on behalf of the district. This meeting was intended to make appointments to the Fox Valley Tech Board. We had 4 candidates we reviewed, and they were vying for 3 spots, and so we chose the 3 participants. We also had an opportunity to tour the Fox Valley Tech Transportation Center, which was very impressive for students who wish to go into auto repair, auto modifications of various kinds, diesel repair, truck repair generally, and so on. And then last night, I attended the CISA 6 Board of Control on behalf of this board. 2 of the main things we covered were the 2026-27 compensation program for all CISA 6 staff, and following the role of the Oshkosh Area School District Board of Education, we stayed with a 2.63% increase for CISA 6 employees. We also discussed the annual agency membership fee for 2026-27, and a new system was put into place which would recognize that smaller districts, particularly those under 1,000 students, were perhaps paying a disproportionate share of fees for their membership, and so many districts saw a reduction in their fees. Of those districts who saw an increase, it was $191, which was pretty small relative to the overall budget. So just wanted to report on those 2 meetings I attended on behalf of this board. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now be adjourning to executive session where we'll be considering the disciplinary data of 2 people. One is a middle school student and one is a high school student. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second, Barb.
Wright and Herzog,
Yes.
ready?
Yes.
DeWitt. Yes. Ford.
Aye.
Herzog.
Aye.
Hess.
Aye.
Smeltey.
Aye.
Wright.
Yes.
Wyman.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned to executive session.
Jackie, could I see if this?